I've had a lot of people tell me that I need to start reaching out to family members before I do these stories. Well, guess what? I tried to. There is a lot going on with this story. And I want to say thank you to my friends who actually sent me the story, including some people who personally know me. And just know there are certain details and things that I can't put out yet because it is not for the public to know as of yet. So we do have some people that are on the inside, but I can only tell you what I've been able to find on my own outside of some of my contacts, some of my friends. So shout out to them. Very important story that I want to give you guys some details on this little baby and the hell that she was put through and abandoned, misused and abused. And potentially, I think that it's possible that she might have been murdered and this could be a whole cover up, but we'll get there. So thank you to everybody who sent me this story. Let's get into the details. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. For everybody listening to the story, do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up so more people can see this and share this story. If you're listening, please hit that thumbs up. So I'm going to have two sources. One I'm going to be reading from Facebook. So I'm going to give them a shout out. I'm going to give them credit to Black Indie Live, which is where I'm going to read this from. And then I'm going to give you a document from fox59.com. Then we're going to get into the details, and then we're going to get into a very special conversation that I found online. Oh boy, get ready for this. An Indianapolis mother and boyfriend. Initially, it was just the mother, but now they're going to include the boyfriend. Of course, I told you guys, anybody who participates, knows about, sees something, and doesn't say anything, and causes the abuse or murder of a child, everybody needs to be held accountable. And I like this because in this case, they're going after the boyfriend too. I actually saw somebody who posted a video that said why they're going after the boyfriend. That's not right. And I actually think it is because I think that everybody who was attached to this are just disgusting people. An Indianapolis mother and boyfriend are charged in the murder of a 2-year-old toddler that was found dead in horrific conditions. And you guys can see some of the pictures, so brace yourselves. Fair warning. Where is my fair warning at? Right here. Following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences, so viewer discretion is advised, okay? The details of this case are deeply disturbing and graphic. Reader discretion is advised. The brutal reality of 2-year-old Skylar Gardner, who was the little girl's name. Let me see if I can get her face back up on the screen, get her mama's big, fat, nasty face off the screen for a second. Show you the little girl. This beautiful angel right here. 2-year-old Skylar, S-K-Y-L-A-R, Gardner, spelled traditionally. Final days is almost too horrific to comprehend. Court documents reveal sickening conditions inside her home and shocking injuries on her tiny body. Injuries so severe that even rodents had begun to feed on her lifeless body. Rodents. Let me not even repeat that. That's pretty bad, but it's about to get worse. And just to let you guys know, when y'all see these pictures, not that particular picture, when y'all see these pictures, just know that I have inside information that said that the pictures of this apartment are worse than what you see on the screen. Do y'all hear me? Please hit that thumbs up if y'all hear me. I got very confident information that I was told that the apartment looks way worse, is in worse condition than the pictures that you guys see. Worse. Much worse. When police arrived, they found the apartment in complete disarray and filth. There was feces smeared on the walls, on a baby crib and mattress. Chicken bones, fast food bags, and rotting trash littered the floors. Furniture's knocked over, Room freezing cold, temperatures as low as 46 degrees. And there was Skylar's lifeless, cold body covered in horrifying injuries. Autopsy reveals unspeakable abuse. So check this out. This is what this angel went through. Bruises were all over her body, including her vaginal area and right eye. What does that signify? It could signify sexual trauma, sexual abuse. We don't know that yet, but there is still much, much more to come out about this story, okay? So just brace yourself. I want y'all to remember this is difficult to hear, but nothing you hear is worse than what this baby went through. I think we can get some tough skin and just listen, right? Don't we owe that to these people who suffered? I think we do. There were bite marks on her back and under her arm, a puncture wound in her neck from a rodent, suspected post-mortem rodent activity, frostbite on her hands and feet, internal injuries, swollen genitals, and untreated infections. It's one of the worst we've ever heard. That's a stupid ass mama, neglectful ass mama, trifling ass mama. And I'm going to show y'all how trifling she actually is. And I'm going to show y'all why this apartment was looking like this, while her daughter was dead, what she was out actually doing. It was two things that she was actually doing and focusing on. Do y'all want to guess what that is? Gardner admitted to police that she abandoned Skylar and her 4-year-old brother for days at a time while she stayed at her boyfriend's house. Good Lord, look at that mattress. Jesus freaking Christ. I can't even barely do this damn story. She admitted, so it is no longer alleged, she admitted that she abandoned her kids for days at a time while spending time with her thug boyfriend. She would check on them once a day, bringing them food and water, but leaving them in this filth. Her excuse for the burning rash and swelling in Skylar's private area, she blamed it on diapers. I think that's possible, but how do we really know? It's possible. Her 4-year-old son was forced to fend for himself, climbing counters for water and stepping through waste. The coroner believes that Skylar froze to death in an unheated apartment, alone, starving, and suffering. Where was the boyfriend? So let's talk about the boyfriend, Brian Anthony Thomas. We were able to find one picture of him, so I'm thankful that we were able to get that. If y'all want to see what he looks like, the guy that we're looking for is this guy. Dun, dun, dun. Brian Thomas, Gardner's boyfriend, is now wanted by police for assisting a criminal. He initially lied to cover for his girlfriend, for this heifer, later admitting that he knew she was leaving the children alone. He knew it and didn't say nothing. I think he needs just as much time in prison. Friends of Gardner said that they would have helped if they knew what was happening. And I'm going to just tell y'all, unless you were in this apartment, unless you were really close to her, with her just constantly just being locked in this apartment, you wouldn't have any idea unless the overwhelming smell, like you just smelled it and then reported it, which I think, like, it just makes me wonder if people are so used to funky, stinking apartments that they don't think to call and do a wellness check. Maybe they didn't hear the kids yelling, screaming, crying, something. I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that nobody else suspected nothing. The children's father, believe it or not, these kids actually have a biological father, which is not the boyfriend. The children's father, who lives in Ohio, said he tried to stay in contact but was repeatedly ignored. Let me say that again. The biological father said he was repeatedly ignored. here is the thing that you have to ask, and I think people know what is my favorite hashtag. Like, I see that Reeves posted a hashtag of Tommy. Shout out to Tommy. But y'all know I have a hashtag over here that specifically calls this out. And what is that? Do y'all remember what it is? Why is it that this woman will go out of her way to keep custody of these kids, knowing that the biological father will probably be interested in taking custody of kids that she clearly did not give a fuck about? Why would she go out of her way to abandon these kids and leave them to die instead of giving them over to the biological father? Hashtag babies for benefits. These whores, these bitches, these sluts, these alleged mothers, these queens, these freaking pregnant bags, these women who don't deserve ovaries, hashtag TTO, they do not deserve reproductive organs. If you're going to let you, she says she'd rather let her kids die, starve to death, and just be mistreated in the worst way possible, rather than give up the custody of those kids. Probably because the only reason she had that place was because of the kids. The only reason she probably had Section 8 food stamps, I'm just assuming, it's probably because of those kids. The only reason she was probably getting child support was probably because of those kids. And guess what she was doing and spending her money with? I'm going to show y'all what she spent her money on. Matter of fact, I'm going to just tell you. And y'all tell me if y'all want to see it. This woman used her money, her source of funding, whatever that was, to pay for music videos that she was rapping and performing in. I swear to God, you can't be this fucking dumb. These people go above and beyond stupid. This is above and beyond cruel. This is hateful. Check out this post that you guys see on my screen. I'm going to back it up so you guys get a chance to see it. On January 22nd, she said, I want to collaborate with a female singer. I got a classic in the making. Who should I put on here? Talking about making music. If y'all want to see the music video, I'll let you see it. But I'm going to probably have to take it down because it's copyrighted. She stole the track. Of course. You think this fat bitch was going to pay money for royalty free, like for her to have proper copyrights to music? I just don't think that's what, people who aren't lazy do. Or people who are lazy. Whatever. Anyway. She also said, I'm about to put Steph Curry on my parlay for touchdowns. Y'all think it's going to hit. She was also doing fantasy basketball or whatever the hell that is as well. She posted that on her Facebook. Her Facebook is actually still up if y'all want to check that out. So here's the thing. She allowed her children to pretty much die rather than just give up custody. And you could have went on with your happy life without the kids and went on with your boyfriend. But here's the irony of this whole thing. You can see she's trying to go on tour and all type of stupid shit, man. It just blows my mind. This is beyond trifling. Y'all see her tour schedule? Y'all see this, right? Blows my mind. The irony of this whole situation is that she didn't want her kids. She wanted the benefits off of those kids. But guess what she's going to get if she continues to deal with her boyfriend? It's going to produce what? More unwanted kids that she's going to try to claim benefits off of. More unprotected sex, more kids. Y'all see how stupid this is? Gardner is set to face trial for murder and neglect on April the 8th. A warrant is out for Brian Thomas's arrest. That's the boyfriend. Here's a small update. Brian Thomas, who is currently on the run, if y'all see his face, tell on him. I guarantee you he's probably hiding out nearby some food, probably at McDonald's or Church's Chicken or something like that. Let me see if I get his face back up here so y'all can see who we're looking for, which is, where is he at? This fat bastard right here. That's Brian Thomas. He's currently on the run. Has allegedly released recorded jail calls with Chantel, where she speaks about her mental state, the condition of her apartment, and the moment she found her baby Skylar unresponsive. Thomas claims these recordings will clear his name, but he has yet to turn himself in. So much for love, huh? He was trying to get her told on and recorded the calls. But here's the thing. On Fox59.com, on their website, an Indianapolis mother is now charged with murder and child neglect following the death of a 2-year-old who was found living in horrific conditions. Prosecutors claim that the girl and her 3-year-old brother were left alone for days inside a cold apartment. Police claim the entire apartment where the little girl and her young sibling lived was littered with feces, urine, garbage, and rotting food. Preliminary doctors believe Skylar Gardner died from hypothermia. She froze. But her body was also covered in bruises and bite marks, with a puncture wound on her neck and frostbite on her feet and hands. Doctors believe the puncture wound occurred after she was dead, post-mortem, likely from a rodent. It's sad on so many levels, said attorney John Tompkins. The victim's mother, Chantel Gardner, admitted she knew she was neglecting her young kids by letting them live alone in the filth for days and nights on end, but she insisted she didn't physically harm her kids on purpose. Can y'all believe that? Over the weekend, IMPD officers found the little girl dead. She and her brother had been living in the filth at the apartment on 6300 block of Newberry Road. Officers initially arrested Gardner on a neglect charge. Now, Tompkins isn't connected to the case, but said the victim's mother was charged with murder and neglect, not because she intended to hurt the child, but because prosecutors believe she knowingly placed her daughter in a deadly situation. A murder charge would get you intent. Intent could get you life in prison, maybe even the death penalty, and I think that she kind of deserves that. Let me see here. We already know that she left the children home alone while she stayed at her boyfriend's house. We already know that. Her boyfriend is 39 years of age, Brian Thomas, and he's been charged with 2 counts of assisting a criminal. Thomas is accused of also lying to investigators. Gardner called 911 after finding Skylar unresponsive under a dresser on January 25th. Upon arrival, police found the home unsuitable for living. Feces were smeared on the walls and furniture, trash was scattered around the residence, and food was rotting. Items were soaked in urine. The conditions were so awful that detectives considered the apartment a biohazard. As conditions inside the apartment got worse, Gardner stopped taking the children to the doctor or even out in public for fear that the neglect would be discovered, which also would prove intent. Because you knew something was wrong and you don't want anybody to find out that something was wrong. Although her furnace did not work properly, Gardner didn't report it to maintenance due to the cleanliness of the residence and because they would have known the children were alone and unattended. Yet again, another instance that they would have found out. The affidavit claims Gardner says she tried cleaning the walls and maintaining things, but it became too overwhelming. She eventually strayed away from the home altogether due to the smell inside the house. But you left your kids there? It was overwhelming, but you weren't overwhelmed enough to fix it, but you was overwhelmed enough to go live with your boyfriend and go get you some overwhelming dick that was going to provide you with yet another overwhelming baby that your overwhelming big ass wasn't going to overwhelmingly protect or provide for. I'm going to skip a lot of this extra stuff. A nurse practitioner told investigators some of the bruises found on Skylar were suspicious for non-accidental trauma consistent with inflicted trauma seen in child abuse, according to court documents. So they're saying that they believe she was abused, and I believe it. Skylar's 3-year-old brother suffered from severe constipation, and his medical condition was non-life-threatening, according to court documents. A medical evaluation found he showed signs of food deprivation and has emotional and cognitive issues. He is described as weak and very twitchy and shaky. He's territorial about his food tray and will have a complete meltdown when anyone tries to take his food away. Pray for this baby, man. In addition, he tends to eat his food in huge clumps, and someone has to intervene to get him to slow down, according to court documents. The nurse practitioner told investigators it's likely that Skylar's brother's condition would have been life-threatening if his sister hadn't been found dead, leading to a response from law enforcement that made them aware of the conditions inside the home. A later search of the residence found temperatures as low as 46 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highest was 51 degrees. And at that point, temperatures outside were 31 degrees, meaning the home would have been even colder during the recent cold snap. Gardner denied physically or sexually harming either of the children. Now, according to court documents, she acknowledged she neglected them by leaving them alone for long periods of time, including at night when she stayed at her boyfriend's house. Detectives noticed Gardner's story and timeline changed multiple times because she lied. A friend and the biological father of the children told police that they were unaware of the conditions in which the children were living. So consider the fact that she probably could have changed her phone number, blocked them on social media, just simply wasn't returning his calls. How would he have known? Outside of going there and kicking the door down, which is illegal to do, but I would understand if a parent and a father was led to do that, and maybe it could have saved these kids. I'm not saying you should break the law, but I'm just saying I would have understood if he would have chose to go that route. Now, during a subsequent interview, Gardner said things became too overwhelming with the children, and she said she would leave them unattended, with YouTube acting as the babysitter. Jesus Christ. She specifically told investigators her children watched popular YouTuber Miss Rachel. So that's supposed to be the responsible babysitter is a YouTube program. That's interesting. So y'all see why I'm reading from this other article, because there's more information that it gave that the first one did not, just by default. She would go out with Thomas, her boyfriend, and leave the children behind because taking two children who weren't always the most behaved could be challenging. She eventually avoided spending much time at the apartment because the smell of the apartment was so bad. She told police she stopped showering at home because the smell before showering would cling to her immediately after showering. The odor embarrassed her, especially around her boyfriend. So she began staying the night with him, leaving Skylar and her brother by themselves. She said she left them at home at most for 2 days. And we know it's probably longer than that. Y'all do me a favor, if you can hear the sound of my voice, y'all please hit that thumbs up, please, to share this video, please. Thank you. I appreciate that. At times, when she knew relatives were going to call, she was intentional about being with the kids because she knew family members were only calling to speak to the children. Again, that's showing intention. You say you're furious, I understand. How many of the rest of you guys are furious and pissed off from hearing this? How many of y'all think that she's evil? And again, y'all know I've talked about this also. I'll get back to this here in a minute. Babies for benefits. She wanted to look like a good mother, so she'd take good, high-quality pictures. But think about the condition she left these kids in. Look at that picture and then think about what she left these kids in. Left them in this. You left them in that, but then you want to take pictures like this so people can praise you and you can be perceived as a great parent, because the great parent threshold is so freaking low. It's lower than a bow-legged caterpillar could do the freaking limbo underneath the goddamn thing. That's how low the bar is. So she even deceived her parents, who might have found out that something was wrong. But shout out to my parents, because my mom might call, my dad might call, but guess what they did? They would just pop up. They would just show up at my apartment when my daughter was really, really young, when she was a newborn. Even as she got older, there were days they wouldn't call me. They would just pop up and see how my baby was doing. But luckily, I'm a good dad. Not a great dad, but a pretty damn good dad. Shout out to my daughter, because she'll be grown this year. That is so crazy saying that. My daughter will be legally grown this year. Just, this baby deserved every opportunity to grow up and eventually become legally grown. And she was failed. Absolutely failed. I always say that the failure starts with the biological mother and biological father. There's a little bit more. Eventually, she believed her children saw her absence as normal because Skylar's brother stopped crying when his mama left. She left the children alone for a day or two and returned with food for them, which typically consisted, I can't talk, consisted of cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets. Sometimes she brought them chips or chicken wings along with sports drinks like Gatorade or Powerade to try to cover it up and mask it and fill their bodies up real quick and act like ain't none of this actually going on. The smell at the home became so intolerable that she stopped taking the kids out in public altogether. She also stopped taking them to the doctor due to their hygiene and smell. Gardner told investigators she understood the consequences of leaving two young children alone and what improper care could do to them. Gardner's initial hearing was scheduled for Thursday. A jury trial is tentatively scheduled for April, and I think it's around April the 8th. We got a lot of video to get into, but before we get into the details, let me give you a disclaimer. The other baby is okay. If y'all didn't catch that, he's going to survive, but I actually told a big portion of the story. You might have to hit the rewind button on that, but we told a whole large story about the little boy, but just know he's going to be okay. Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. If y'all would do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up to share this video. I guarantee you, if we had one thumb up for everybody that sees this, it would make this video go viral. It's something free and it's something simple we all can do. If you listen to the sound of my voice, please hit that thumbs up. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a couple of news videos, and then I'm going to let you hear the jail call. When the boyfriend called and spoke to her in jail, we got that recording. And then we're going to show you the music video if y'all want to see it. Y'all got to let me know if you want to see the music video too. So I want y'all to see what she invested her money and time in. This is going to take a little while. Let's get through it. News videos first.
Just hours ago, we learned that an Indianapolis mother has been charged in the death of a 2-year-old girl, and her alleged boyfriend has a warrant out for his arrest. You may remember this story. Last Saturday, Metro Police responded to an apartment complex on the city's northeast side near Shadeland Avenue. 33-year-old Skylar Gardner called 911 saying she found 2-year-old Skylar unresponsive and not breathing. Officers found the home in disarray with trash on the floor alongside steak knives. Officers say Skylar was cold to the touch when they found her. They say she was covered in bruises and injuries. Now, Chantel faces murder and neglect charges. The boyfriend, Brian Thomas, faces a charge of assisting a criminal.
News now at 5. An Indianapolis mother charged with murder and neglect. It comes after the death of her 2-year-old daughter.
CBS 4's Jesse Wells has reaction to these charges. We want to warn you, you may find the photos and details in this story disturbing.
According to court records, the victim's mother admitted she knew she was neglecting her young kids by letting them live alone and in filth for days on end inside this apartment building behind me. While the suspect did her best to hide that neglect, she insisted she did not physically harm her kids on purpose. This disgusting bedroom with a feces-covered crib and mattress is where a 2-year-old girl died over the weekend. Police claim the entire apartment where the little girl and her young sibling lived was littered in feces, urine, garbage, and rotten food. Preliminarily, doctors believe Skylar Gardner died from hypothermia, but her body was also covered in bruises and bite marks with a puncture wound on her neck and frostbite on her feet and hands.
It's so sad on so many levels.
Attorney John Tompkins isn't connected to the case, but says the victim's mother, Skylar Gardner, was charged with murder and neglect, not because she intended to hurt her child, but because prosecutors believe she knowingly placed her daughter in a deadly situation, leaving one question for a jury.
She knew it was bad. Did she know that someone would die?
According to this affidavit, Gardner told police she left her young children home alone for several hours every day and night while she stayed at her boyfriend's house. That boyfriend, Brian Thomas, is also charged with 2 counts of assisting a criminal. Over time, conditions inside the apartment got worse, and Gardner feared the neglect would be discovered. The affidavit claims Gardner said she tried cleaning the walls and maintaining things, but it became too overwhelming, and she eventually strayed away from the home altogether due to the smell inside the house.
None of that's a defense, but it's certainly worth noting that the systems that are in place to prevent this on a humanitarian level in our city failed.
Handling things on your own when they get to be out of control and unsafe is not the best idea. So we want to normalize this idea that asking for support is a responsible and good thing to do.
For their part, child neglect awareness advocates urge all parents to call the state's hotline and ask for help.
It's not about tearing families apart. It's about getting them the help and support they need before the really horrible outcomes happen.
Finally, the suspect made her initial court hearing today. In the meantime, she is being held without bond pending trial. Jesse Wells, CBS 4 News.
She just put them in a situation that it risked their lives.
A mother is now facing charges over the death of her child. We'll break down this case coming up right here on your News at 5. We start first this afternoon with this 2-year-old daughter found dead over the weekend. And that begins our newscast here at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Birshel Edman.
And I'm Dan Spieler. Fox 59's Jesse Wells got a hold of court records today that detail just how this case came to light.
Police were first called to this apartment building behind me by the victim's mother, who reported finding her daughter unresponsive under a dresser. Court records claim that mother admitted to neglecting her kids, who were living in filth. Here on the ground floor of this apartment building near Shadeland and Fall Creek, 2-year-old Skylar Gardner died Saturday night. Police claim the little girl and her young sibling were living in horrific conditions, with the apartment floor and walls covered in feces amidst a stench of rotting food. According to this affidavit, the girl's mother, Skylar Gardner, told police she left her young children home alone for several hours every day and night while she spent time at her boyfriend's house.
Clearly, the state has a good case to show that she was neglect of a dependent.
Attorney Mario Masalamani isn't connected to the case, but says while Indiana law doesn't specify an exact age at which a child can be left home alone, parents can be charged with neglect if they abandon their children, deprive them of necessary support, or leave them in a situation that endangers their life.
The law doesn't specify a specific age because the law doesn't want to specify an age. In this situation, you have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. Clearly, they're not able to stay by themselves.
Police say Gardner confessed she came back to the apartment once a day to feed her 2 kids and often found them covered in feces. Gardner admitted she knew she was neglecting her kids, but insisted she never physically.
Somebody in the chat asked, how did the neighbors not notice the smell? I have no idea. But y'all also got to remember, I know this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to just say this out of disrespect for the neighbors, because I just don't believe that you didn't know. These type of people, act like y'all got to remember, there've been dead bodies, let alone stinky, dusty, filthy, nasty apartments, and they act like they don't smell nothing. But when you walk up to the door, it's just overwhelming. Even if you walk down the hall, you would smell that. Thumbs up if y'all listening. Here we go. Let's keep going.
Harm the children herself.
So in neglect of a dependent, you don't have to show that she intentionally tried to harm them. She just put them in a situation that it risked their lives.
While it's not clear exactly how the 2-year-old girl died, doctors at Riley Hospital say they found a large puncture wound to her neck and her whole body was covered in bruises. Finally, the suspect is being held on a $100,000 bond. She's due in court for an initial hearing later this week. Jesse Wells, Fox 59 News.
Jesse, thank you. Neglect of a dependent resulting in death is a level 1 felony carrying a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison.
New at 5.
Those new court documents say 2-year-old Skylar Gardner may have been dead for several hours before she was found, and her body was full of bruises and injuries.
Tragic to think about the victim here.
A young victim who family says has such a bright smile and personality.
And unfortunately, that flame was put out too soon.
Saturday night, police say Skylar's mother called them after she found Skylar unresponsive under a dresser. Court documents say once officers got inside the apartment, they found trash, human feces, steak knives, and soiled items scattered around. When Skylar was taken to the hospital, doctors found a large puncture wound to her neck.
This life deserved to have fulfilled who knows how old, and lived a wonderful life, brought brightness into everyone's lives.
Documents reveal when Skylar's mother and her boyfriend talked with police, they both said she would spend the night at her place every night, leaving Skylar and her older brother alone in the apartment. The mother also said she would only check on the two once a day, only to bring them food and a drink, and they would be dirty. The mother denied abusing the children, but said she knew she was neglecting them.
We're the only ones in the society, adults, that can be the advocate for these children, that have a voice.
IMPD says in cases like this, it's important for other family members to be aware of any abuse or neglect and report it immediately.
Please reach out to 911, contact the police. We will get you resources. It's not criminal to ask for help, and we want you to do so.
So another child doesn't lose their life to neglect. In Indianapolis, Anna Chalker, 13 News.
Thanks for inviting us in at 6 o'clock, and we begin tonight with murder charges filed in the death of that 2-year-old girl who was found dead last weekend.
Police now tell 13 News that the mother is responsible. We want to warn you, some of the details and the photos in this story could be disturbing to some.
Our Marina Silva has been following this story for us, and she joins us live in studio. She's got the latest on what happened to Skylar Gardner.
Well, Scott and Anne Marie, these are 21 pages of court documents detailing what allegedly happened to Skylar Gardner. Everything from how dirty the apartment was to how often they were given food to all the injuries both Skylar and her 3-year-old brother have. It's all listed right here. Their mom, Chantel Gardner, has been in the Marion County Jail. Her boyfriend, Brian Thomas, also has a warrant out for his arrest.
It's been almost a week since 2-year-old Skylar Gardner died. This was the scene that night on Newberry Road. Chantel Gardner, the girl's mom, told police she would sometimes leave her 2- and 3-year-old children home alone for days at a time. According to court documents, Gardner told police she returned to the apartment Saturday around 6 p.m. after being gone since Friday at 4 when she brought the kids food. Gardner says she found Skylar underneath a dresser and cold to the touch. According to the autopsy for Skylar, she had multiple injuries contributing to her death. Multiple patterned bruising across her body, bite marks on her back, a puncture wound on her neck, and unknown injuries to her feet. Gardner also has a 3-year-old son. Court documents say he was also left alone in the apartment. He was taken to Riley Hospital. A nurse who examined the boy told police he had a distended stomach, had signs of food deprivation, swollen feet, and was weak and twitchy.
So you guys can hear that right there. The boy survived, but that was what he was suffering from. Now, Christina said in the chat, said if maintenance doesn't have a call, they're not going. If she is paying rent, nobody is putting a notice on the door. So, but And I agree with you, which is why they wouldn't have entered the apartment. But good Lord, maybe they need to start making it mandatory to at least crack them doors once a month. Stick their head in there like, hey, everybody good? That should be like a mandatory thing. They should schedule the date or something. Like I know some people do like pest control maintenance and stuff like that they let you know about like a month in advance. Something. But just flat out that you don't never check none of the apartments. I find that just to be a very odd thing. But a couple more news videos and then we're going to get right into the jail call. Do y'all want to hear that?
When detectives went to the apartment, court documents say they were overwhelmed by the smell. These are photos investigators took. You can see what looks to be feces, food, trash, and clothing all over the floor. Gardner told police she would leave the kids alone when she often stayed overnight at her boyfriend's house. Her boyfriend, Brian Thomas, is now charged. He faces 2 counts of assisting a criminal. Thomas told police he had not seen the kids since the end of December, and Gardner told him family was watching them at night. Court documents say Skylar also had hypothermia, and when investigators took the temperature inside the apartment, the highest temperature they found was 51 degrees. Gardner told police she stopped taking the kids in public due to their smell. Documents say she told police it had been more than a week since she bathed them.
Gardner told police she even stopped bathing herself at the apartment because of the smell. Instead, she was going over to her boyfriend's house. The kid's father is from Ohio. He told police he had given full custody to Chantel. He said,
Why? He gave her full custody for what? Oh, I hope y'all heard that. Said the father gave her full custody. Let me let y'all hear that part again.
boyfriend's house. The kid's father is from Ohio. He told police he had given full custody to Chantel. He said he did not know how bad things had gotten.
Gave her full custody for what? Okay, here we go.
You gotta tell me to be in my video. Hi, baby.
What's up, baby?
You gotta tell me to be in my video. Hi, baby.
What's up, baby?
You gotta tell me to be in my video. Hi, baby.
What's up, baby?
You gotta tell me to be in my video.
Let's just move past that. We're not going to be able to rationalize that. If the biological father sees this video, email me, theafcmatters@gmail.com. If you catch us live, then we can talk about it. You can call in. If any family members are in the chat right now, I will let you call in and tell me what the deal is. Outside of that, I want y'all to hear this video. This is her boyfriend talking to her while I think she is detained. There's a jail call. Listen at this. These are in 3 video segments. Y'all ready?
When I talk to the detectives, I'm like, I don't know why they keep including you. When I told TT, I told him, I said, I don't know why they keep including him. I said, had I not, called him to come get seen, like he wouldn't even be a part of this shit.
I mean, I get that. You feel me? Like somebody need to be there for Saint, but they, it's these motherfuckers on social media, and it's this motherfucker sending me shit like, this nigga knew. How could this nigga just clearly let her lay up over there knowing that the kid is over there? I'm like, nigga, she know for a fact I would have got on her motherfucking ass if nigga that was the motherfucking case. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm mad at you, because you know you could have fucking told me this shit. You know you could have told me this shit.
I was embarrassed. Like, I was trying to make it like I had shit together. Like, I thought I had shit together. I really thought I had shit together. Like, I was trying to get shit together. Like, there wasn't a point in time. Like, I know there would be times where you would ask and you'd be like, you okay?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you recall, like, but like that going down, he was like, "You okay?" You know, that's the shit that was on my mental when you was asking.
When I was asking, was you okay?
Yeah. I'd be like, "I'm alright, I'm cool." Or like the day when you had ordered the food, and I was like, "Fuck, this friend just texted me about the Pampers."
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I had a moment right there. I was like, "Fuck, I need to go check on them," like that. And that was just me going to go check on them. Type shit, you feel me? Like, cause I knew, like, it was just like spurts or it'd be times where I just felt like I needed to go check on them. Type shit, you feel me? Like, cause I knew, like, it was just like spurts or it'd be times where I just felt like I needed to get back to them. You feel me? Like, but my goal was to get shit together. Like I told them, like, she said she seen the cleaning supplies, but like I told her like that Thursday, but she was trying to be an asshole, but she was like, "Well, how do I know those weren't for Brian's house?" And I'm like, "Brian and his brother cleaned their own house." You feel me? Like, wow. And if it was for Brian, why wouldn't I just take this to his house?
Exactly.
Like that shit. I was trying to get that shit together. I told her to look through my text messages where me and best friend was texting, and I asked for the pediatrician phone number. Look through my call records where I was calling Dr. Fisher to make appointments with Skylar and I shit together. Or I didn't want you to feel like I was rushing shit, but in a way I was like rushing shit, you feel me? So I could get them in a better environment. Because I knew that environment wasn't safe or clean for them.
But you know, anyway, even
She said she knew the environment was not safe and clean. That is an admission of guilt. Right there.
anyway, even when I did see the babies, like, you know for a fact, like, even if that was the case, when you was spending the night over here, like, you could have brought them. You could have brought them, nigga. If anything, you know, if push came to shove, I would have paid for daycare.
You already had a lot on your plate.
It don't matter, though. Them babies come before the bullshit I got going on. I would rather have paid to put them in daycare than figure it out like this.
I just refuse to believe that he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know, but this is CYA. He's trying to cover his own ass. He's trying to cover himself. That's why he recorded this. Honestly, I guess I don't blame him for trying to protect himself. But again, I just find it hard to believe that he didn't know. She's going days and days and days at his house and ain't seeing the kids. Ain't like just that's impossible not to realize that something's wrong.
You said what?
I said I didn't want to be a burden.
But still, though, sweetheart, you gotta, you had to move a little bit different, like.
I know.
Huh? Yeah.
Get shit together. And then that's when I went in the room and I seen her. And I picked her up and I took her. I had to give off some Gatorade. I was trying to get her to get Gatorade because like her eyes was like they was like still rolling. So I'm like, maybe she's still, you feel me?
Yeah.
And after I had called you to tell you to come get things off, I brought her to the hospital. I had called 911 and they told me to give her CPR. But I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Yeah.
When I heard her. Yeah. I just felt like my best bet was getting her to the hospital, but as you saw when I took her outside, because I said it was too late.
Uh-huh.
But I was definitely trying to get shit together for my babies. I just didn't want to be a burden on nobody. I didn't know how to ask for help.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Nah, I'm already knowing.
Alrighty, how do you guys feel about that? How do y'all feel about that? I think that's very telling. I definitely believe that he's trying to cover himself. Now, granted, because this could ruin his life and cause him to be in prison a whole lot of years, I guess I don't blame him for taking the route of basically trying to make it seem like he had no idea at all. But we'll see how that plays out on his end. I think that they both should be held accountable, but she definitely should be. I don't even know if you even had a willing biological father, considering the fact that now we know that he gave up custody. Now, can we say that he was a willing biological father? It's hard to say that. So did he sign over his rights? Why did he give up custody? And if he would have asked, because he made it seem like he was trying to check on the kids and she was preventing him access. But if you gave up custody, that means you literally quit your access. That makes no sense. That's why the story is just horrifying in every possible way that you could think of. And then on top of that, to add the proverbial slap to a big ass hole in your face, then you have this broad used her finances, and I want y'all to think about this, while her kids were starving and stinking and dying, and the little girl died, they found her underneath the bottom of a Chester drawer, a cabinet or whatever that fell on top of her. Was he trying to avoid paying child support, the biological father? Probably. But now it makes me wonder if he was even willing to try to be a parent at all. And then you have two kids. I don't get how you have, let alone one kid, but two by a man who don't want to be a father. What? There's no way. You offer me my kids, I'm taking my kids into custody. Come on in, move in, we doing this together. It's just that simple. That's the only right parental thing to do. Would y'all want to book her, or would y'all want to throw the book at her? Like, I think she needs a life prison sentence. Would you like to book her or throw the book at her? I think the judge, the jury, God, and everybody else needs to throw the book at her, and she needs to spend the rest of her fat ass life in prison. Trifling as ever. You can't fix this level of stupidity. As far as the boyfriend, I just refuse to believe that he didn't know. Now, granted, if he wants to call in and profess his innocence before he gets arrested, you can call into my show. You better email me quick because the police are looking after you, sir. So email me at theafcmatters@gmail.com. Reach out to me. I will respond because I know that you're on a limited time frame. So as soon as you hit me up, we'll chop it up. We'll have a conversation. We'll post this as an update to the story if you decide to speak and profess your innocence. Other than that, I'm going to hope that they get you and throw you in prison and get you just as much time for causing and what did they say? Contributing to the situation. Contributing to the delinquency, to the neglect. To Skylar Gardner, young princess, R.I.P. This baby and her brother deserved every opportunity to grow up and become something great, and they deserve to have good parents. And it seems like both of their parents, including mom's boyfriend, failed them. And maybe this saga was meant to end like this because there's a good chance that she was probably going to get pregnant by her new boyfriend. It's just people like this don't deserve reproductive organs. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to AFC Podcast. Make these stories go viral so we can really, really, truly get justice, okay? I think we got enough celebrity news in the world. Let's start caring about our babies more than we care about celebrities, okay? Thank you.